The dust swirled around her boots, a constant reminder of the life she was trying to outrun. In the heart of a small western town, where the sun beat down relentlessly and whispers carried further than the wind, Clara felt the weight of every judging glance, every whispered word, every accusation that clung to her like the desert heat. It was a place where the past was never truly buried, where mistakes were etched into the collective memory, and where a woman's worth was measured by the narrowest of standards. She carried a burden, a personal tragedy that painted her in the town's eyes with a brush of shame, and the public humiliation in the saloon had been the final blow. It shattered the fragile hope she held, leaving her with a choice: succumb to the shadows or find a way to rise above them. She decided to leave, to seek a life unburdened by the cruel gazes and sharp words that had become her daily torment. Her journey began with nothing but a yearning for a different kind of existence, a place where she could breathe freely, where her spirit wouldn't be constantly crushed under the weight of judgment. She was searching for a haven, a place where her true self could emerge from the wreckage of her past, and she hoped to discover the woman she was always meant to be. Fate, as it often does, led her to a remote ranch, a sanctuary nestled amidst the vast open landscapes of the West. There, she encountered Ethan, a solitary rancher who had retreated from the world years ago, seeking solace in the silence and solitude. He was a man haunted by losses, a heart scarred by loneliness, and a soul that had almost forgotten the possibility of connection. He was a man who had built walls around himself, brick by brick, to protect himself from further pain. Their meeting was a collision of two broken souls, each carrying their own wounds and seeking a different kind of healing. Clara, vulnerable and carrying the weight of societal condemnation, and Ethan, guarded and skeptical, were initially strangers. The ranch became their shared space, a place where the past could no longer dictate their future, and where the vastness of the landscape offered a chance for introspection and growth. This is a story of two individuals, both wounded by life, who find their way back to themselves and to each other. Not through grand gestures or sweeping romances, but through the quiet strength of acceptance, the slow burn of understanding, and the profound healing that comes from seeing and being seen for who you truly are. It's about the courage to leave the known behind and the unexpected beauty of finding refuge in the most unlikely of places. And in the most unexpected of hearts, the initial spark of connection between Clara and Ethan, however, was not born of instant understanding. Instead, it arose from a shared understanding of isolation. Ethan, accustomed to the quiet solitude of his ranch, observed Clara's tentative steps, her guarded demeanor, and recognized a kindred spirit. He had, for years, cultivated a world of his own, a place where the echoes of the past couldn't reach him. He saw in Clara the shadow of a similar retreat, a woman who, like him, had sought refuge from the world's harsh judgment. Building on this observation, Ethan's own history of emotional withdrawal provided a critical layer of insight. He understood, perhaps better than anyone, the instinct to build walls, to shield oneself from the potential for further hurt. Consequently, his initial interactions with Clara were cautious, measured, and devoid of any pressure. He offered her space, a quiet presence, and a sense of security that allowed her to slowly, tentatively, begin to trust. Furthermore, the vastness of the ranch itself became a crucial element in their burgeoning connection. It wasn't just a physical space. It was a metaphor for the emotional landscape they were both navigating. The endless horizon, the open sky, the unyielding earth, all reflected the potential for both freedom and vulnerability. The ranch provided a canvas upon which they could begin to paint a new narrative, one that wasn't dictated by the expectations of others. Conversely, the daily rhythms of ranch life, the tending of the land, the care of the animals, the shared labor also served as a powerful tool for healing. These activities fostered a sense of purpose and connection, a grounding in the present moment that helped to quiet the anxieties of the past. Now, consider how this applies when you face your own challenges. Do you find solace in the simple acts of caring for others or nurturing a project? Another crucial layer is the role of nonverbal communication. Ethan, a man of few words, possessed an innate ability to communicate through his actions, his gaze, and his quiet presence. He didn't need to dissect Clara's pain with words. He simply acknowledged it, validated it, and offered her a safe space to feel it. His empathy was not a judgment. It was a silent acknowledgement of the shared human experience of suffering. The slow, deliberate pace of their relationship was itself a form of healing. It allowed for a gradual unfolding of trust, a gentle shedding with defenses, and a slow, steady recognition of each other's worth. This was not a whirlwind romance. It was a careful, considered dance, a testament to the power of patience, understanding, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of redemption. It was a testament to the fact that healing, like the vast expanse of the Western landscape, is a journey, not a destination. Consequently, as Clara and Ethan's relationship deepened, a different kind of understanding began to emerge, one rooted not just in shared isolation, but also in the subtle nuances of their individual personalities and experiences. Ethan, man who had long ago learned to navigate the world with a stoic exterior, started to reveal glimpses of the sensitive, thoughtful soul that lay beneath. He was a man of quiet observation, and in watching Clara, he began to see the resilience that she herself had yet to fully acknowledge. Furthermore, he realized that her initial vulnerability wasn't a weakness, but a testament to her courage. It took bravery, he knew, to expose oneself to the possibility of further hurt, especially after experiencing the harsh judgments of the town. He saw how she approached tasks with a quiet determination, how she found solace in the simple beauty with a ranch, and how she interacted with the animals with a gentle touch. He began to see beyond the surface, to recognize the depth of her character, and to appreciate the strength that had allowed her to survive her past. Building on this, however, was the transformative power of their shared vulnerability. Ethan, once closed off and guarded, began to slowly, cautiously, share his own experiences of loss and loneliness. He spoke of the ghosts that haunted him, the memories that lingered, and the pain that had driven him to seek solitude. In doing so, he created a space of mutual understanding, a sanctuary where they could both feel seen and accepted. Another crucial layer is the role of empathy in their burgeoning connection. Ethan didn't offer platitudes or unsolicited advice. Instead, he listened, he validated, and he offered a silent acknowledgement of her pain. He understood that true healing comes not from trying to erase the past, but from integrating it into the present, and from finding the strength to move forward. He showed Clara that her past did not define her. Conversely, Clara in turn began to see Ethan not just as a solitary rancher, but as a man with a rich inner life, a man deserving of compassion and understanding. She saw the pain etched into his face, the sadness that lingered in his eyes, and the quiet strength with which he carried his burdens. She began to understand that his isolation was not a sign of coldness, but a manifestation of his own deep hurt. Now, consider how this dynamic applies when you face someone struggling with their own emotional baggage. Do you rush in with solutions, or do you offer a listening ear, a safe space, and the quiet understanding that allows them to heal in their own time? The ranch, in many ways, became a microcosm of the world, a place where they could practice the art of seeing each other, of accepting each other, and of loving each other, flaws and all. The path to healing, for both Clara and Ethan, was significantly shaped by the importance of establishing clear and compassionate communication. It was not a natural skill for either of them initially. Clara, accustomed to being silenced and judged, had learned to keep her thoughts and feelings locked away, while Ethan, steeped in solitude, had grown comfortable in the absence of deep dialogue. Furthermore, the vastness of the ranch, initially a symbol of isolation, became a backdrop for practicing vulnerability. They began with small steps, sharing a meal in comfortable silence, a shared glance of understanding while working, and gradually, a willingness to articulate their needs and emotions. This wasn't a swift transition. It was a slow, deliberate cultivation of a safe space where honesty could flourish, and where they could speak their truths without fear of reprisal. Building on this, however, was the necessity of setting healthy boundaries. For Clara, this meant learning to assert her needs and to protect herself from further emotional harm. For Ethan, it involved recognizing his own limitations and understanding that he couldn't single-handedly fix Clara's pain. He learned to offer support without trying to control her healing journey. This wasn't always easy. It required both of them to be mindful of their triggers, to communicate their discomfort, and to respect each other's emotional boundaries. Consequently, they began to develop their own unique communication style. It was one that prioritized active listening, empathy, and a willingness to understand each other's perspectives. They learned to avoid accusations and blame, and to focus instead on expressing their feelings in a clear and non-judgmental way. This involved using I statements, which helped them to articulate their needs without placing blame on the other person. For example, instead of saying, "You always make me feel small," Clara learned to say, "I feel small when ... Another crucial layer is the power of forgiveness. The ranch, with its wide-open spaces, served as a metaphor for the emotional freedom they were both seeking. They learned that forgiveness was not a one-time event, but an ongoing process, a conscious decision to release the grip of the past and to embrace the possibility of a brighter future. This extended beyond forgiveness for others. It also involved forgiving themselves for their past mistakes and for the ways they had hurt each other. Now, consider how this applies when you face communication challenges in your own relationships. Do you prioritize active listening, or do you get caught up in defending your own position? Do you allow yourself to express your needs, or do you bottle up your emotions? The ranch became a testament to the power of communication, a place where two broken souls learned to speak the language of love, understanding, and forgiveness, and in doing so, they discovered the strength to heal. At the heart of their burgeoning connection, Clara and Ethan began to experience a profound shift in their understanding of love itself. It was no longer a concept tied to romantic ideals or societal expectations, but something far more fundamental and transformative. It was about recognizing the inherent worth in another human being, regardless of their past or present circumstances. Furthermore, their definition of love expanded to encompass the idea of acceptance. This meant embracing each other's flaws, vulnerabilities, and imperfections. and loving each other not in spite of these things but because of them. It was about recognizing that true intimacy arises from the courage to be seen fully and to be loved unconditionally. Building on this, however, was the concept of freedom, both individually and within their relationship. They understood that love isn't about control or possession, but about allowing each other the space to grow, to explore, and to become the fullest expression of themselves. They fostered a sense of mutual respect, supporting each other's dreams and aspirations, and celebrating each other's successes. Consequently, they began to cultivate a relationship rooted in authenticity. They learned to shed the masks they had worn for so long, and to be their true selves with each other. They were honest about their feelings, their needs, and their fears, creating a space where vulnerability was not a sign of weakness, but a source of strength. Another crucial layer is the role of mutuality. The ranch, once a symbol of Ethan's solitary existence, became a shared space, a place where their lives intertwined. They made decisions together, supported each other's goals, and shared in the joys and sorrows of life. They were partners in every sense of the word, building a life together based on equality, respect, and mutual support. Now, consider how this applies when you contemplate the relationships in your own life. Are you seeking love that is based on conditions, or one that is truly unconditional? Do you allow your loved ones the freedom to be themselves, or do you try to mold them into something they are not? The ranch became a testament to the transformative power of conscious love, a place where two broken souls found the courage to build a relationship based on truth, acceptance, freedom, and mutuality. The journey of Clara and Ethan, though forged in the crucible of hardship, ultimately illuminated the power of self-love as a cornerstone of a healthy relationship. It wasn't enough for them to simply love each other. They had to cultivate a deep and unwavering affection for themselves, recognizing their inherent worthiness independent of external validation. This became a profound lesson etched into the fabric of their connection. Furthermore, their individual healing processes became intertwined, a testament to the symbiotic nature of genuine love. Ethan, previously consumed by guilt and began to practice self-compassion, acknowledging his past mistakes without letting them define his present. He started to see himself through Clara's eyes, appreciating his resilience, his kindness, and his capacity for love. Building on this, however, was the understanding that self-love wasn't a destination to be reached, but an ongoing practice, a continuous act of tending to one's inner landscape. Clara, who had internalized years of judgment and self-doubt, embarked on a journey of self-discovery, exploring her strengths, her passions, and her unique talents. She began to prioritize her well-being, setting healthy boundaries, and cultivating a sense of inner peace. Consequently, their relationship evolved into a powerful mirror, reflecting back to each other their own inherent value and potential. Ethan helped Clara see her own strength and beauty, while Clara encouraged Ethan to embrace his sensitivity and vulnerability. They learned to celebrate each other's successes, to offer support during times of struggle, and to remind each other of their inherent worth. Another crucial layer is the recognition that true self-love doesn't mean perfection, but rather acceptance of one's imperfections. They both acknowledged their flaws, their vulnerabilities, and their past mistakes, without allowing them to diminish their sense of self-worth. They understood that self-love is not about erasing the past, but about integrating it into the present and using it as a source of wisdom and growth. Now, consider how this applies when you grapple with your own self-perception. Do you treat yourself with the same kindness and compassion you would offer a loved one? Do you recognize your inherent worth, even when you make mistakes or face challenges? The vast, open expanse of the ranch, with its endless horizons, became a symbol of that boundless potential for self-love, a testament to the fact that the greatest love story begins within. The journey of Clara and Ethan also underscored the transformative power of forgiveness, extending far beyond the simple act of pardoning another person. It became a profound practice of self-compassion, a conscious choice to release the shackles of the past and embrace the possibilities of the present. This wasn't a passive act, it was a deliberate unburdening, a decision to rewrite the narrative of their lives. Furthermore, they realized that forgiveness wasn't a one-time event, but a continuous process, a daily choice to release the grip of resentment and anger. It required a willingness to confront their own shadows, to acknowledge the pain they had endured, and to choose healing over holding on to bitterness. This was particularly crucial for Clara, who had carried the weight of societal judgment for so long. Building on this, however, was the understanding that forgiveness wasn't about condoning harmful actions. It was about releasing the emotional chains that bound them to the past, allowing them to move forward with greater freedom and peace. It was about choosing to no longer be defined by the actions of others or by the circumstances that had shaped their lives. Consequently, they learned to extend forgiveness not only to each other but also to themselves. They acknowledged their own imperfections, their past mistakes, and the ways they had hurt others. They understood that true healing comes from accepting responsibility for their actions, learning from their experiences, and committing to personal growth. Conversely, the vast open landscape of the ranch became a canvas for practicing forgiveness. They learned to release their grip on the past, to let go of the bitterness and resentment that had held them captive, and to embrace the present moment with greater openness and vulnerability. They understood that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting, it was about remembering without being consumed by the pain. Another crucial layer is the recognition that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It frees you from the burdens of the past, allowing you to move forward with greater lightness and joy. It opens the door to new possibilities, allowing you to create a life filled with love, connection, and purpose. Now, consider how this applies when you grapple with past hurts. Do you hold on to resentment, or do you choose to release it? Do you forgive yourself for your mistakes, or do you allow them to define you? The ranch, with its endless horizons, became a testament to the transformative power of forgiveness, a place where two broken souls found the courage to heal and to embrace a brighter future. Furthermore, the narrative of Clara and Ethan, played out against the backdrop of the isolated ranch, highlights how true strength blossoms from embracing vulnerability, not suppressing it. Ethan, a man who had erected formidable emotional barriers to shield himself from further heartache, discovered that genuine connection required dismantling those walls. His stoicism, once a source of perceived power, gradually gave way to a willingness to reveal his inner world, to share his fears, and to acknowledge his loneliness. Building on this, however, was the realization that vulnerability is not synonymous with weakness, but rather a pathway to profound intimacy. When Ethan began to share his past experiences of loss and disappointment, Clara responded not with judgment or pity, but with empathy and understanding. This mutual openness created a safe haven where both could feel seen, heard, and accepted for who they truly were. It was in these moments of shared vulnerability that their bond transcended the superficial, evolving into a deep and abiding connection. Consequently, Clara, who had grown accustomed to concealing her emotions to protect herself from societal disapproval, found the courage to express her own vulnerabilities. She spoke of her past humiliations, of the shame she had carried, and of her longing for acceptance. Ethan, in turn, offered her a safe space to feel her emotions, to process her pain, and to begin the process of healing. He understood that the key to her recovery lay not in trying to appear strong, but in allowing herself to be vulnerable. Conversely, the expansive landscape of the ranch became a metaphor for their burgeoning emotional freedom. The vastness of the plains, the open sky, and the unyielding earth mirrored their journey toward authenticity. They learned to embrace their imperfections, to acknowledge their vulnerabilities, and to love each other not despite these things, but because of them. It was a testament to the power of authenticity, a place where two broken souls found the courage to be their true selves. Another crucial layer is the role of trust. Ethan, initially hesitant to open up, learned that vulnerability requires trust, both in oneself and in the other person. He had to trust that Clara would not use his vulnerabilities against him, and he had to trust in his own capacity to heal. Clara, who had learned to distrust others, had to learn to trust Ethan's unwavering support and empathy. This trust, built on a foundation of shared vulnerability and mutual respect, became the bedrock of their relationship. Now, consider how this applies when you are faced with the prospect of opening yourself up to someone. Do you allow your vulnerability to be a source of strength, or do you hide it away? The ranch, with its quiet beauty, became a powerful reminder that true strength resides not in hiding, but in daring to be seen. Furthermore, the unfolding story of Clara and Ethan on the isolated ranch reveals the transformative power of presence. Ethan, accustomed to retreating into his own world, learned the profound art of simply being with Clara, offering his silent support without judgment or expectation. He understood that sometimes the most potent form of love is not found in grand gestures or eloquent pronouncements, but in the quiet act of sharing space, in the gentle acknowledgement of another's existence. Building on this, however, was the critical role of patience in their evolving connection. Their healing was not a swift or linear process. It was a slow, deliberate dance of trust and vulnerability. Ethan, with his inherent understanding of the rhythms of nature, recognized that true growth, like the blooming of a desert flower, often takes time and requires the right conditions. He didn't rush Clara's journey. He simply held space for her, allowing her to move at her own pace, in her own way. Consequently, the ranch itself became a sanctuary of presence. The vastness of the landscape, the changing seasons, and the simple routines of daily life provided a backdrop for their shared experience. They found solace in the quiet moments, in the shared meals, and in the unspoken understanding that passed between them. They learned to be present with each other, to listen without interrupting, and to observe without judging. Conversely, the absence of distractions and external pressures on the ranch facilitated their deepening connection. In the stillness, they could truly see each other. The lack of societal noise allowed for greater clarity and self-reflection. The simple act of tending to the land, of caring for the animals, and of sharing the burdens of daily life brought them closer together, fostering a sense of mutual respect and interdependence. Moreover, the art of active listening played a pivotal role in their evolving relationship. Ethan, initially a man of few words, learned to truly hear Clara, to discern the unspoken meanings behind her words and actions. He understood that active listening is not merely hearing the words, but also paying attention to the emotions, the body language, and the subtle cues that reveal a person's inner world. He learned to ask open-ended questions, to validate her feelings, and to offer his presence without interrupting or offering unsolicited advice. Another crucial layer is the power of non-judgment. Ethan had witnessed firsthand the destructive effects of societal judgment, and he was determined not to repeat that pattern in his relationship with Clara. He learned to approach her with an open heart, to accept her without reservation, and to refrain from offering opinions or criticisms. He understood that true love is unconditional, that it embraces the whole person, flaws and all. Now, consider how this applies when you seek to connect with someone. Do you create space for them to be fully present, or do you fill the space with your own thoughts and opinions? Do you practice patience, allowing them to unfold in their own time, or do you try to rush the process? The ranch, with its quietude and beauty, became a testament to the transformative power of presence, a place where two souls learned to truly see and accept each other. Furthermore, the story of Clara and Ethan, against the backdrop of the rugged, western landscape, underscores the profound significance of self-compassion as a catalyst for healing and growth. Ethan, initially hardened by loss and isolation, gradually learned to extend the same kindness and understanding to himself that he so readily offered to Clara. He realized that his past mistakes, his vulnerabilities, and his perceived failures did not define his worth. Building on this, however, was the understanding that self-compassion is not synonymous with self-pity. It is not about wallowing in negativity or making excuses for one's shortcomings. Rather, it is about acknowledging one's pain, accepting one's imperfections, and treating oneself with the same gentleness and empathy that one would offer a dear friend. Ethan began to practice mindfulness, observing his thoughts and feelings without judgment, and recognizing that suffering is a universal human experience. Consequently, Clara, witnessing Ethan's transformation, was inspired to cultivate her own self-compassion. Seeing his capacity to forgive himself, she began to dismantle the internal critic that had tormented her for so long. She learned to challenge her negative self-talk, to reframe her past experiences, and to recognize her inherent worthiness. She began to treat herself with the same respect and kindness that Ethan had shown her. Conversely, the vastness of the ranch, with its humbling beauty and unforgiving terrain, served as a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. They understood that their individual healing journeys were intertwined, that their capacity for self-compassion was directly related to their capacity for compassion towards each other. They learned to celebrate each other's successes, to offer support during times of struggle, and to remind each other of their inherent value. Moreover, the practice of self-compassion extended beyond their relationship, informing their interactions with the world around them. They became more tolerant of the flaws and imperfections of others, recognizing that everyone is navigating their own unique struggles. They learned to approach others with greater empathy and understanding, and to refrain from judgment. This shift in perspective not only enriched their relationship but also made them more resilient in the face of adversity. Now, consider how this applies when you are struggling with self. Do you treat yourself with harsh criticism, or do you offer yourself the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend? The ranch, with its enduring beauty, became a powerful reminder that self-compassion is not a luxury, but a necessity, a cornerstone of a fulfilling and meaningful life. Furthermore, the narrative of Clara and Ethan, played out against the backdrop of the vast, open plains, offers a compelling lesson in the art of embracing impermanence within the context of a lasting connection. Ethan, accustomed to the cyclical nature of ranch life, the changing seasons, the birth and death of livestock, had an innate understanding of the ephemeral nature of all things. He recognized that relationships, like the landscape itself, are in a constant state of flux, and that resistance to change only breeds suffering. Building on this, however, was the crucial realization that embracing impermanence does not equate to a casual approach to love. Instead, it fosters a deeper appreciation for the present moment. Ethan and Clara learned to savor the small joys, to cherish the everyday moments, and to approach each day with a sense of gratitude. They understood that the only constant is change, and that clinging to the past or worrying about the future only robs them of the present. Consequently, they cultivated a mindset of adaptability. They were prepared to navigate the inevitable challenges that life throws their way, recognizing that adversity is an inherent part of the human experience. They learned to communicate openly about their needs and fears, to support each other through difficult times, and to celebrate the victories, both big and small. They understood that their relationship was not a fixed entity, but a dynamic, evolving process. Conversely, the stark beauty of the ranch served as a constant reminder of the transient nature of existence. The setting sun, the passing clouds, and the ephemeral wildflowers were all symbols of change. Ethan and Clara learned to find beauty in the impermanence, to appreciate the fleeting moments, and to let go of the things that no longer served them. They understood that true freedom lies in embracing the present, in living fully in the moment, and in accepting the inevitable changes that life brings. Another crucial layer is the power of acceptance. Ethan and Clara learned to accept each other's flaws, vulnerabilities, and imperfections, recognizing that these were an integral part of their individual journeys. They understood that acceptance is not about condoning harmful behaviors, but about acknowledging the totality of the other person with all their strengths and weaknesses. They learned to approach each other with compassion, empathy, and understanding. Now, consider how this applies when you face change in your own life. Do you resist the inevitable, or do you embrace it? Do you cling to the past, or do you focus on the present? The ranch, with its ever-changing landscape, became a powerful reminder that embracing impermanence is the key to living a life filled with joy, resilience, and authentic connection. Furthermore, as Clara and Ethan's bond deepened amidst the vastness of the Western landscape, they discovered the profound power of shared vulnerability in constructing a resilient emotional haven. It wasn't simply a matter of disclosing personal history. Rather, it was about the conscious act of lowering defenses, of revealing the raw, unfiltered self to another. This act, initially daunting for both, became the cornerstone of their enduring connection. Building on this, however, was the recognition that true vulnerability is not reckless exposure. It demands discernment, a careful consideration of time, place, and the emotional readiness of both parties. Ethan, having experienced the consequences of misplaced trust, understood the importance of establishing a secure foundation before delving into the most sensitive aspects of their lives. He created a space where Clara felt safe, where her disclosures were met with empathy, not judgment, and where her fears were acknowledged without being dismissed. Consequently, the ranch itself became a silent witness to their unfolding vulnerability. The open skies, the endless horizons, and the unwavering solitude provided a sense of privacy, allowing them to explore their inner landscapes without the pressure of external scrutiny. The rhythmic tasks of daily life, tending the land, caring for the animals, sharing meals, served as a backdrop for their deepening connection, providing a sense of grounding and stability amidst the emotional upheaval. Conversely, the harsh realities of the Western environment, the unpredictable weather, the constant demands of survival fostered a sense of interdependence. Ethan and Clara learned to rely on each other, to support each other through challenges, and to celebrate their triumphs together. They understood that vulnerability is not a solo act. It is a shared experience, a journey undertaken in partnership. Another crucial layer is the importance of authenticity. Ethan and Clara realized that vulnerability without authenticity is merely a performance. They committed to being truthful with each other, to expressing their feelings openly and honestly, and to living in alignment with their values. They understood that true intimacy requires a willingness to be seen fully, flaws and all. Now, consider how this applies when you are building trust with another person. Do you prioritize safety and reciprocity, or do you rush the process? Do you embrace your authentic self, or do you attempt to create a false image? The ranch, with its demanding beauty, became a powerful reminder that shared vulnerability, when anchored in authenticity, forges an unbreakable bond. Furthermore, as Clara and Ethan journeyed deeper into their connection, etched against the backdrop of their secluded ranch, they uncovered the invaluable practice of active listening as a cornerstone of their burgeoning intimacy. It wasn't simply about hearing the words exchanged. It was about truly comprehending the sentiments and unspoken communications woven within. Ethan, a man of few words himself, gradually honed his skills, understanding that true comprehension demands focused attention and a willingness to suspend one's own internal narrative. Building on this, however, was the crucial realization that active listening extends beyond mere hearing. It encompasses observing nonverbal cues, the subtle shifts in facial expressions, the telltale signs of body language, the cadence of the voice, to gain a more holistic understanding of the speaker's emotional state. For Ethan, this meant cultivating a heightened awareness of Clara's subtle signals, recognizing the moments when her shoulders would slump with weariness or her eyes would cloud with unspoken grief. Consequently, the ranch's vast expanse became a sanctuary for this mindful interaction. The absence of external stimuli allowed them to dedicate their undivided attention to each other. They learned to set aside their own preoccupations, to silence the internal chatter that often obstructs true comprehension, and to fully immerse themselves in the other person's experience. Conversely, their journey also underscored the necessity of validating emotions, even when they differed from their own. Ethan, who had long suppressed his feelings, learned to accept Clara's emotional landscape, acknowledging her experiences, without judgment or attempts to fix them. He understood that validation isn't about agreement, it's about conveying that the other person's feelings are understandable and worthy of acknowledgement. He might not have always comprehended the source of her sorrow, yet he consistently communicated that her feelings were valid, providing her a secure space to process them. Moreover, another crucial layer is the power of thoughtful questioning. Ethan, initially reticent, learned to utilize open-ended questions to encourage Clara to delve deeper into her emotional experience. Instead of offering platitudes or dispensing advice, he would gently probe, seeking to understand her perspective without imposing his own. He would ask, What does that feel like for you? Or what thoughts are running through your mind? This approach fostered a sense of trust and safety, encouraging Clara to explore her inner world with greater freedom. Now, consider how this applies when you are seeking to understand someone's perspective. Do you truly listen, or are you merely waiting for your turn to speak? Do you seek to validate their feelings, or do you dismiss them? The ranch, with its quiet beauty, became a living testament to the transformative power of active listening, a place where two souls found the courage to truly hear and understand each other. The story of Clara and Ethan, unfolding on their secluded ranch, also illuminates how the cultivation of empathy serves as a foundational building block for lasting intimacy and understanding. It was not enough for Ethan to simply know history. He needed to truly feel her experience, to step into her shoes and see the world through her eyes. This required a conscious effort to set aside his own biases and assumptions, and to embrace her perspective with an open heart. Furthermore, Ethan's journey toward empathetic connection involved actively seeking to understand the root causes of Clara's pain. He listened not only to her words but also to the unspoken narratives that shaped her identity. He delved into the societal pressures, the personal tragedies, and the internalized shame that had molded her into the woman she was. He didn't offer solutions or try to minimize her suffering. Instead, he sought to comprehend the full spectrum of her emotions, both the overt and the subtle. Consequently, he became more attuned to the nuances of her expressions, the subtle shifts in her demeanor, and the underlying currents of her emotional state. He learned to anticipate her needs, to offer comfort and support before she even had, to ask, and to create a safe space where she felt seen, heard, and validated. His empathy was not merely a passive act. It was an active engagement, a constant striving to connect with her on a deeper level. Conversely, the harsh beauty of the ranch, with its challenges and triumphs, provided a fertile ground for cultivating this shared understanding. The collaborative effort required to navigate the demands of ranch life, the unpredictable weather, the challenges of the land, the shared moments of joy and sorrow fostered a deep sense of connection. They learned to rely on each other, to anticipate each other's needs, and to celebrate each other's strengths. Moreover, another crucial layer is the practice of non-judgmental observation. Ethan made a conscious effort to refrain from offering unsolicited advice or imposing his own beliefs on Clara. He understood that true empathy requires a willingness to set aside one's own perspectives and to embrace the other person's experience. Without evaluation or criticism, he learned to simply be present, to offer his support without trying to fix or change her. Now, consider how this applies when you are trying to connect with someone who is experiencing difficulty. Do you offer solutions, or do you seek to truly understand their point of view? Do you judge, or do you offer a non-judgmental presence? The ranch, with its vastness and beauty, became a testament to the transformative power of empathy, a place where two souls learned to truly see and understand each other. As we traverse the emotional terrain, but explored, a powerful convergence emerges, hinting at the profound potential residing within the human heart. The story of Clara and Ethan, etched against the vast canvas of the Western landscape, isn't merely a tale of two individuals. It's a testament to the transformative power of connection, of the ways in which vulnerability, communicated with care, can rewrite the narrative of a life. The intricate dance between self-discovery and shared experience, the gentle shedding of protective layers, and the courageous embrace of imperfections. All these elements intertwine to create a tapestry of healing and growth. Drawing these strands together, we witness the delicate art of building a relationship based on authenticity and mutual respect, a haven where the ghosts of the past lose their power and the future unfolds with newfound promise. The journey from isolation to intimacy, from fear to freedom, is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It's a voyage marked by the recognition of innate worth, the embrace of impermanence, and the unwavering belief in the power of love to heal and transform. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer. The ranch, once a symbol of solitude, becomes a metaphor for the inner landscape, the space where the seeds of healing are sown and nurtured. We see how the simple act of being present, of listening with an open heart, and of extending compassion to oneself and others can create a ripple effect, transforming not only individual lives but also the very fabric of connection. As we pivot towards the final reflection, consider this: the heart, much like the open plains, can be both a place of vulnerability and a source of profound strength. The challenges faced by Clara and Ethan, the hurdles they overcame, and the love they found, all serve as a powerful reminder of what is possible when we choose connection over isolation, authenticity over pretense, and empathy over judgment. Reflecting on this journey so far, what resonates most deeply within you? The enduring resonance of Clara and Ethan's journey, carved against the backdrop of the untamed West, lies not merely in their individual transformations, but in the alchemy of their shared experience. Their story, far from being a simple romance, is a poignant illustration of the human capacity to heal, to connect, and to rediscover the inherent beauty within oneself and within another. It is a testament to the transformative power of vulnerability, of how the courageous act of revealing one's true self can dismantle the walls of isolation and forge a path toward genuine intimacy. Consider how the expansive ranch, with its imposing silence, became a crucible for their healing, an environment that encouraged introspection and mutual understanding. The wide open spaces mirrored the emotional freedom they sought, while the challenges of daily life fostered a sense of interdependence and shared purpose. It was within this setting that they learned to navigate the complexities of human connection, to embrace their imperfections, and to cultivate a love that was both profound and enduring. The central theme, the unwavering power of the human heart, underscores the narrative's core message. It demonstrates how empathy, communication, and a genuine commitment to understanding can create a safe space where vulnerability can flourish, where authenticity is cherished, and where even the deepest wounds can begin to heal. The story of Clara and Ethan reminds us that the greatest strength lies not in concealing our vulnerabilities, but in embracing them, in allowing ourselves to be seen and loved for who we truly are. This tale further suggests that the path to healing is not a solitary endeavor. It is a journey best undertaken in the company of those who see our worth, who accept our flaws, and who offer unwavering support. It is a reminder that the most profound connections are built not on perfection, but on authenticity, on the willingness to be present, to listen deeply, and to offer compassion without reservation. The true practice begins now. It's about extending this understanding to your own life, to your relationships, and to yourself. Embrace the vulnerability, cultivate the empathy, seek the connection, for within these acts lies the potential to create a life filled with love, resilience, and the profound joy of being seen, truly seen, for who you